We have to interrupt this program to bring you some breaking news.
Back in the day, Toonami was your after-school vibe.
Stay behind me!
This is trouble. I can feel it.
Prepare yourself, Sailor!
If you haven't heard already, Toonami is having a Toonami Rewind on Fridays at 5 o'clock. Adult Swim has been having this programming block called Checkered Past for like the past few months at this point, where it broadcasts classic Cartoon Network shows from the 2000s as to play on the heartstrings of like young millennial or late Zoomer nostalgia for these types of shows and programming. Well, with a new initiative from Adult Swim, they're having now Toonami Rewind, which when I first heard the news, and I was gonna cover it when it was first announced, I thought it was a great idea. It's broadcasting shows like Sailor Moon, Naruto, and Dragon Ball Z Kai. As you know, these were the formative shows that I watched as a kid in the late 2000s that really got me into anime. Before the whole thing with streaming and YouTube, I was just a simple-minded kid who had no parental supervision at the time, who would flip on Cartoon Network and be watching Naruto alongside the broadcast of Dragon Ball Z Uncut. Today, there's comments from Jason DeMarco coming out about what's going on with this initiative. Probably the length of this video. I want to say this flat out, this is all speculation, these are all my thoughts, and you know, take all this with a grain of salt. These are just my thoughts, my speculation on this whole thing, okay? And I'm going to be bringing up stuff from the past that I've covered in other videos and projects here, okay? Well, I've talked about before on the whole entire situation with the shutdown of Funimation, the sale of Crunchyroll to Sony, and the situation whenever Crunchyroll bought up Right Stuff Anime. All in an effort as to get people caught up and as a way to get this information out there. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my hour-long video on the whole situation, the end of Funimation, that the complete saga that is on the channel. It should be on the screen now or on the iCard on the screen. For a great source that outlines all of this in a spectacular manner, go read Toonami Squad's opinion article on this whole situation. It's very long, it's very thorough, covering everything that's gone on with the anime industry, Toonami, WB, and just recent things that have been going on with the general industry that I've been trying to cover on the channel as of late, okay? The TLDR of it all is that there's a general concern of the monopolization of the anime market by Crunchyroll, which is owned by Sony, after the merger between Crunchyroll and Funimation, because those two were the two most dominant forces within the anime space, alongside other labels like Viz Media and Sentai Filmworks. But once those two entities merged, Crunchyroll as a brand has a control at the moment that is very concerning. That is in due part because of AT&T, who owns WB, selling Crunchyroll to Funimation, as Sony bought Funimation in the past, and how this all works with the current broadcasting with Adult Swim and Toonami. As I've mentioned in the past with my anime headlines coverage, WB is making an investment in anime with, the upcoming Suicide Squad anime, but also getting more and more production of series that are going about. The current resurgence with Speed Racer by Shout Studios, but also MeTV Tunes, which will be broadcasting Speed Racer alongside another Tatsunoko production series classic, Marine Boy. With the situation with Toonami Rewind, we have comments from the head of action animation at WB, one of the creative heads, behind Toonami and broadcasting of anime in the West, Jason DeMarco, coming out on his Blue Sky page as covered by Swimpedia. As Jason DeMarco states, that it was a idea that was tossed around by the heads of WB that the crew at Adult Swim, who take care of the Toonami block, liked the idea and went with it, which I think it's a very interesting thing to state, because Warner Brothers' effort in this initiative is potentially as to return back to Warner Brothers' market share that it had before letting go of Crunchyroll. As currently, I believe that we're witnessing a renewed gold rush with the anime industry. Like I said, we haven't seen since before the industry crash and early streaming in the late 2000s. My personal thoughts on all this, and this is my speculation on, is that if we look at Toonami Rewind's current lineup, its titles like Sailor Moon and Naruto, which both are Viz Media titles. WB has already have a relationship with Viz Media, as WB takes care of Viz Media's physical home media section of their company, and on the other hand, it's also broadcasting Dragon Ball Z Kai. One would imagine that it's a Crunchyroll title, since formerly Funimation produced Dragon Ball Kai's dub and did its home video release. All to say that some would assume that Funimation has full rights with the show, and they could do whatever they want with the series. But in reality, Dragon Ball Z Kai was made in association with Funimation to localize the title, and giving out its home video release with Funimation. Toei, its American branch to be more specific, were the ones to get the show picked up for broadcasting. I say all this partially by the fact that Funimation never got Dragon Ball Z Kai for streaming in the United States for its streaming service, with Adult Swim being for the longest time the only place to stream the series on its video-on-demand service, until it was finally picked up for streaming by Hulu in 2023. And if you were to look at the title on the service, it says that it comes from Toei Animations. And if anyone followed what went on with Dragon Ball Super's broadcast and the whole situation with its localization, at the time it seemed like Toei was the one holding out on their end to get the series licensed. Like Kai, Toei Animation is the master licensor for the series, with them working in association with Funimation for its English dub and home video release. With the case being that for Super subtitles between Crunchyroll versus Funimation, Crunchyroll subtitles were coming from Toei Animation's own in-house subtitles, as they were also used for the Dead Daisuke streaming service. As for Funimation, its subtitles were based on the studio's own in-house translation for its episodes, which were then used for the home video release. I would like to think, with the comment by Jason DeMarco, that potentially that maybe more classics from maybe the original Voltron by World Studio Productions, or maybe some kid-friendly titles from Discotheque Media, might get the opportunity to be broadcasted on this new channel block with Toonami Rewind, judging by the partnership between Adult Swim and Discotheque Media for the IGPX remastered release. I say all this to say that even though the current anime market looks dire due to the fact that Sony owns a majority share of the market, I feel like that there's still other players out there that I believe might make a positive change in the market. We can't forget there's other studios also releasing shows like Sentai Filmworks, Discotheque Media, and also the new Animego that is popping up, and also all that anime that will be releasing Macross Plus. I think that potentially Toonami Rewind has a chance to revitalize people's interest and maybe move eyeballs away from Crunchyroll. I feel like that there's an opportunity here for maybe WBS to create its own anime streaming service to potentially eat away at Crunchyroll and Sony with its market share. Maybe, potentially, AMC, who owns Sentai Filmworks and deals with High Dive, could get into a partnership with Adult Swim to maybe get some of its title onto its service, or maybe even rebrand the service in and of itself, and to make it a viable competitor against Crunchyroll. And this is all I have to say. This has been Osoweeb, and I'll be signing out.